Hi guys, this is Breaker, and I am back with a replay that I took from Reddit, and I thought I'd go ahead and cast this as best as I could. Spawning is our Protoss in the lower left-hand corner. I give you all Apparition. In the upper right-hand corner, spawning is our Terran. In the blue trunks, his name is ThoRero. Now, I guess you could say this is going to be the semi-blog post, if you will, the semi-blog part, since we do have some macro time to fill in from both sides of the map. There's been a few difficulties that I've been facing in my personal life. Most notably, my mother has breast cancer. We don't know what stage it is at. She's going to get surgery to have the tumor removed this upcoming, I don't know when, this upcoming June 12th, I believe. And meanwhile, it's going to put a little bit of financial strain on my family. This is pretty significant because my family does not qualify for financial aid because we already make a little too much money, at least according to last year's. I'm not gonna go into figures, but I mean, you know, just long story short, we didn't qualify for financial aid last I had checked. So with that being said, I might have to take a break from studying. This means that maybe, just maybe, I'm going to not go to Korea next semester like I'd originally planned. Which is kind of a huge disappointment because, you know, then I won't be too far from Taiwan, I won't be too far from China, and my focus, again, with Starcraft 2 is the China and Taiwan scene. It looks like ThoRero is going to go ahead and go directly for a Command Center first opening, so we're not going to see anything game ending happening soon, I think. Excuse me. And now there's a double assimilator with full probes on each end of it. That's a little scary, I think. This is... I'm leaning towards saying that this could be DTs. Whatever it is, it's going to take a lot of gas that are... You know, whatever it is our Protoss is trying to do, it's going to take a lot of gas to do. Anyway, it looks like the probe is now moving out. Okay. Aside from that, now we're just waiting for the macro time to get filled in, and of course this is something that we see basically every single time we see a double command center opener, and that is a double Rax follow-up, because you have to go as defensive as possible. 9 times out of 10 I believe this leads into bio, so yeah. Just something that I see trending happening more and more. If you guys would so kindly also go ahead and click on the subscribe button. I want to say that I have a chance to get in on the Taiwan Open as well, but that's going to be at the end of July. And as I am right now, I'm running out of passport pages on my passport. I didn't know, like, I didn't think I would be torn between this many different countries at this stage in time. I guess you could say maybe, you know what, I wasn't thinking as far back as March, oh, well, I could end up going to Shanghai to cast this or that tournament, or I could go to Taipei to cast this or that tournament. I wasn't thinking that initially. I was just thinking, okay, well, I'm going to go to Korea, and once I'm done studying there, I'm going to go to Taiwan. But as it so happened in the past 2-3 weeks or so, I came to realize more and more that just being in Korea would put me in the proper geography to actually go to these tournaments and cast them in person. Alright, so here we go. We got Apparition showing up here with double stalkers. And what about the cybernetic score here? It's cranking out warp gate tech perfectly standard. Meanwhile, it looks like the Marines are trying to pepper down the hatches, trying to do what they can, and it looks like we could actually see some viable damage being done here by Apparition. Once that barracks is finished, however, it does lift off and move back. I'm wondering if the Stalkers are in attack range of the other one. They are. But of course, we're not going to see ThoRero actually pick both of them up at the same time. Okay, this is rather annoying. This is actually going to force some money out of ThoRero. Actually, some production at the very least. I wonder how much he's lost so far. 50, just 50 minerals, you know, pretty good. Pretty good defense by ThoRero thus far. Meanwhile, NSCV does show up to the party over here. I'm wondering, is it gonna, you know, I think it would be pretty clever for him to build something back over here, like maybe a factory and start cranking out mass Widow Mines. Nah, that would be mean. But at any rate, we do have a couple of more Stargates being tacked on, as well as Robo Bay. And yes, they are on the lower ground, but they still outrange Marines. They're actually taking a few kills off of those Marines. Ouch. So now losses are actually climbing just a little bit for ThoRero, so we didn't miss anything since the last engagement. I'm wondering just... Oh, and a forge going down? Okay, well, I'm just curious. What are we going to see from Apparition? Stalkers can no longer engage that bunker without taking damage to their cores, if you will, taking armor damage. And so they back off for the time being. Shields being worn off. Forge going down here as well. And it looks like for now it's going to be Marine Tank. So there is some bio to this, it's just not a full-blown bio follow-up. The biggest problem that we're going to see for ThoRero is actually keeping the upgrades adequate for both his vehicles and his Marines. Meanwhile, this SCV has been found and it's being caught onto. I don't know which is faster than the other. I would like to thank ESL for giving me such a terrible, what's the word I'm looking for? Interface to work with when casting. I'm kidding, guys. It was a joke. Alright, there it is. STEM now in research. That's going to be a while. And ooh, interesting. Banshee also in production. I was almost tempted to ask if we were going to see, you know, I was almost tempted to ask if this was Wings of Liberty or HoTS, but since we've already seen the Mothership Core, I think that basically answers my question. Okay, double gas now going down at the natural for Apparition. Income now for both players, getting there, but Apparition is still pretty far ahead in all of this. I'm curious as to just how that happened. Double commands that are opening from our Terran. This did... Oh, okay, I see what happened now. Apparition was actually forcing him to crank out units, forcing him to tank up, or not tank up, but tech up, get some units out to deal with his harassing stalkers, and that is damage done in and of itself, ladies and gentlemen. But it does appear that we're going to have a Banshee moving out over here, but I think Apparition has not quite spotted this yet, and this could do a bit of damage, not game-ending damage, but definitely do some. Cloaking hasn't even been researched. 2 probes go down, 3 probes go down. It looks like this Banshee will live to fight another day. Alright, behind this we do see that Colossi are now in production, as well as extended thermal lance. I do question this composition just a little bit, as we have nothing that's really specialized in killing tanks in the composition. Yes, I'm aware that, you know, to some extent Colossi can do it, but look at that. I mean, just check out their damage. I think they only do, what is it, 30 damage to units overall. Like, they have no buffs versus armor, they have no buffs versus light. And that pylon acting as a trip mine basically is just signaled to Apparition that his opponent might be trying to move out. Meanwhile, he's going for a Twilight Council behind this and getting +1 armor. Excuse me, +1 attacks. And behind this, we actually see that Terran Infantry weapons level 1 is in production, as well as combat shields. Hold on just a second. I was going to ask, you know, could this perhaps be a timing attack? But no. I mean, there's just 45 seconds to go on +1, and then another minute and 10 seconds to go on combat shields. I'm thinking it more than likely isn't. But with a Raven in the mix and a Banshee to come over here and do some economic damage behind that, I think we're going to see our players essentially duke it out really coldly. I want to see that Banshee swing around here and go at the main, however. That would definitely do a lot of damage. Okay, so here we go. Both players going to go at it. The lack of Marauders here is going to allow these Colossi to just eat the Marines alive. Beautiful Time Warp going down. It looks like the tanks are going to fall with very little contest to that. Yes, Marauders do show up to the party now, and they're going to take down those Stalkers slowly but surely. And if we have concussive shells, do we have concussive shells? We do not, then that would just seal the deal all the more. Concussive shells, ladies and gentlemen, it makes a huge difference when you're engaging units that are big, valuable, and trying to get away. So now we have 3 Colossi in the mix. And concussive shells going down, just now getting researched. But of course, to be fair, I think that's the only... Yeah, that's the only barracks with a tech lab on it, so it was the only way that he could actually research. It was the only way he could actually get those concussive shells out. +1 armor going down behind this for our Terran, but +2 attack now going down behind this for our Protoss. He's also taken a third, and so again has our Terran. We're going to have an economic bleed for our Terran, obviously. It's going to be it's going to be an orbital command, it looks like. Barracks now being tacked on. Just getting the... I think this is going to be a full-blown bio transition with a few tanks in between. There's nothing wrong with, you know, just moderating it and putting a few tanks in, but not, I think, as many as we saw before. 3 of them might be overdoing it. They do outrange Colossi, yes, but at the same time, we got to see things like, you know, the Marauders go up against the... Well, Marauders getting the shots in against Colossi does help, but of course you need Vikings to really deal with Colossi. Meanwhile, Dark Shrine going down behind this, and it looks like we're going to have a Warp Prism come over here. It does have upgraded speed. I forgot to take note of that earlier. Just 2 Zealots being warped in over here, and it looks like... Whoa, buddy. Our Warp Prism's just going to cancel that and back off for now. I don't know. I think it was a little too direct for him to go in that way, especially given the fact that he saw that his opponent's third there was an orbital command, not a planetary fortress, so that means it would have been all the more exposed. We still have this Banshee here at 16 minutes into the game. And ThoRero just... I don't know, both players just really macroing up. I mean, this map is meant, essentially, for... What's the word I'm looking for? Macro style. Apparition... His main's going dry, and ThoRero's shouldn't be much different. No, not at all. Some of those mineral patches as low as 85. More gateways now tacked on, or warp gates have you. Behind this, it seems like those Vikings have caught on to the Warp Prism over here. Oh, he's trying to warp in some units, but no, they get shut down. Vikings took care of that. Okay, so behind this, we just have ThoRero parked outside of his third. I would say it's more than acceptable now, given the amount of minerals that he's floating, to go ahead and throw down a fourth. But he's also got to be extremely wary of the AoE that his opponent has. They are specialized at killing Marines. The Zealots are going to act as force fields at this stage in the game, more or less. They're going to keep the units from getting forward to the Colossi, but the tanks should be able to make short work of them. The Storms, as long as they hit behind the Marine lines of ThoRero, they will do lots of damage. And now here we go. ThoRero is just basically moving out some more. And it looks like he's going to get the third, perhaps, just perhaps. He's going to force Apparition to pull his army, but wait a minute, Apparition isn't pulling his army. What is up? That third's going to fall, ladies and gentlemen. It does! And now it seems like perhaps the Storms come a little bit late. They're beautiful. They're killing every single Marine and Marauder, if not putting them in extremely low health. Archon's now being warped down behind this, and it looks like we're going to see slowly but surely the Protoss army prevail over all of this. But we need something to deal with the Vikings. Yes, 1 Colossus does fall on all of this. Mothership Core gets targeted down. Brilliant move by Apparition, or excuse me, by ThoRero. Realizing that he's just a little bit behind, and now we're going from the mid-game to the late game, ladies and gentlemen. By that I mean we are at the 20-minute mark. Our Terran is going to be on 5 bases pretty soon. Alright, and behind this, that's basically all we have. Okay, Apparition's going to immediately push back. His opponent is trying to double expo behind this. If he can actually take some of this down, he'll be good to go. Oh no, I misclicked. Sorry about that, guys. And there it is. Bunker falls. I think he's going to be able to make short work of some of those workers on the mineral line. Right now, worker kills a little bit more in favor of Apparition thus far. So here we go. Planetary Fortress now finished up over here. Zealot does see that this is going to be a planetary fortress as well, but I'm a little curious, does Apparition really know this or not? You see, Zerg is not the only race that likes to double expo, ladies and gentlemen, but now behind this, we finally have personal cloaking going down, signaling that we're going to have ghosts in the game. But what I really want to know is, where are they? Are they in production now? And so on and so forth. Do we even have any? I don't see anything, but here we go. Huge engagement here. It looks like ThoRero is going to get surrounded. And he's going to have no way to actually deal with all of these Archons. They are a little bit clumsy, and it looks like he might be able to hold this, especially if he gets a full-blown surround at this angle. But for now, it looks like the Apparition is going to try and back off. Doesn't want to overcommit, but at the same time, he's got this Naga watchtower. Why doesn't he? Oh my god. He doesn't know. He has absolutely no clue that his opponent is trying to rebuild an expo at the 12 o'clock position. 3 o'clock is looking better and better for our blue Terran as well. Oh boy, and Apparition throws down a scan. He's got some ghosts in production. He's got one here. If he can get a money EMP, he might be okay, but even then a money EMP is going to be less than what he needs. Still oblivious to that 12 o'clock position base. He just needs to put one Zealot on the Xel'Naga Watchtower, and may I just dare say that ThoRero is actually doing quite the ballsy move by taking that expo. It really is. And now it's finished. I mean, retaking this expo after it's been destroyed, that's... Come on, wow. I think he's got more than adequate opportunity to come back in this game, but I'm wondering if perhaps, just perhaps, Apparition is baiting it. He's pretending he doesn't know it's there. He's pretending he doesn't know that it's there. He could actually be waiting for a bunch of SCVs to run by and then snap it there. There are no High Templars in the composition here. There aren't even any Colossi. That's the most dangerous part about all of this. The AoE is extremely low. But now it looks like we're going to have a bunch of Zealots, or not Zealots, but Stalkers warping it up here, and that's going to really put some hurt on the economy of ThoRero, just a little bit more. Only really a handful of these Stalkers can do any damage. Oh man, Ghost running straight into the composition and then throwing down EMPs ASAP. Now the huge Bioforce trying to engage as best they can, and I think it's going to be more than enough. There's some DTs in the mix right now. We actually have to see scans going down to save this Bioforce. There it is. All the Archons fall. There it is. The scan that saves the Marines, the Marauders, and, well, not necessarily the medevacs. The ladies, yeah, they know what to do. They're in charge. They took care of it. And now the income for ThoRero is actually suffering just a bit because he hasn't taken care of what's here just yet. He could throw down a bunch of mules over here and he'd be good to go. He's finally realized he's got control of the map yet again. And he is on 1, 2, 3 base income while his opponent is stuck on, it's going to be 1, 2, and this is probably a game-ending mistake that Apparition made. He only just now found out about this base, only after his unit composition is completely destroyed. It looks like he might be trying to do a run-by into the main with what appears to be some DTs. Yes, lots of DTs. He's going to have to split them really well to actually get a lot of damage done to attack the infrastructure and so on and so forth. Oh, and the DTs are actually just, they're randomly killing anything that's rallied outside. These guys just happen to run straight into a missile turret, and they're not going to be used quite as effectively as they could be. One scan was already wasted. I want to say that, well, no. It's just fine. Trying to kill supply depots causes a supply block, but at this point, with as many orbital commands as there are, as many command centers and planetary fortresses as there are, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Behind this, ThoRero is, I guess, trying to pull himself back together. He's getting 3-3, but we just now see our Protoss going for +3 armor. He's already had +3 attack for a while. And it looks like they're slated to finish up at about the same time, more or less. There's going to be, you know, a slight window of opportunity, but honestly, right now, our Protoss does have the upgrades advantage. He's going to go ahead and make a move on this 3 o'clock position planetary fortress. If that falls, then there's just going to be so much damage, really. I want to say that, you know, there's so much that ThoRero could actually do to Raffle Stomp Apparition right now, all you'd have to do is throw a couple of medevacs full of Marines or whatever into the main of his opponent. So there we go. Apparition just snipes it and backs off. I want to say he's pretty okay in the way of anti-air. His opponent has just a few Vikings and is almost maxed out. That's actually really dangerous because Vikings are essentially the only thing that can handle the number of Colossi that we have here, and the number of Stalkers as well as the High Templar. If the Vikings get caught in the storm, just for a brief moment, that's going to mean lots of damage. And I don't know how else to say it. It's 200 armies now, and both players are looking for an engagement point. Checking the income right now. Apparition needs to expo again. I'm thinking that he's highly underestimated the number of bases that his opponent has taken, especially given the fact that his opponent's playing, it seems, mass orbital command style. 2, 3 orbital commands, and he's actually moving in to engage. He's got vision of that right now, and we see a bit of a concave coming down for ThoRero. There we go. Beautiful EMPs and storms now going down for Apparition. He's going to slowly but surely prevail over all of this, and it looks like the Stalkers are going to have no trouble dealing with the Vikings as they do not get healed by medevacs, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, that's a newsflash. And now we have the Zealots and the Stalkers trying to find positions to attack, and beautiful move by Apparition. He manages to prevent that expo, but ThoRero, it looks like, is just ready to give up. It made sense to me. I mean, this base was going to fall, I'm pretty sure, if we just checked. Perhaps if he pulled SCVs to repair it, it would have been a different story, I think. But also, I want to highlight the mistakes that we had coming from ThoRero. His macro score was not that good. I want to highlight that, essentially, we had ThoRero not really benchmarking how much gas income he needed for the units that he was supporting, how many units he was cranking out. Perhaps there was some mistakes, some confusion when he was supply blocked. There were times that I saw him floating 100, or not 100, but 1,000, 1,000. And, I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So, if you guys like what you saw here today, just go ahead and click on the subscribe button. This has been Breaker. I'll see you guys next time. P.S. It's perfectly okay for Protoss to be floating in minerals when they're 200. And I mean, ThoRero was, he was floating resources even before he was 200, so that's my biggest problem. And the amount of barracks that we have right here is rather inadequate, I want to say. I mean, sure, a lot of them have reactors, but I also want to say that you need Marauders to counter Stalkers. If there were more tech labs, let's just see how many tech labs there are here. There's only 4 tech labs, and only 3 of them capable of making... Let me see, where are these guys? Oh, I guess only 3 of them were capable of making, what's the word I'm looking for? Marauders. I'm trying to find the 3rd one still. There it is, there it is. Only 3 of them were capable of making Marauders. So you really didn't have the Marauder count to keep up with the Stalkers that warped in emergency. Afterwards, it's okay to make just a few more tech labs, I'm thinking. That's just my analysis. I'm not day 9, so don't listen to me too much. Just in this case, I think that would have been acceptable. I'll see you guys next time.